AM 1600 KIV, ABQ.FM, rockoftalk.com. I'm Eddie Aragon, the Rock of Talk with me, Tego and Tracy Venturi, the Venturi Real Estate Group from Keller Williams Realty. All you have to do is dial them today, ladies and gentlemen, 448-8888. That's 448-8888 or welcomehomeabq.com. That's welcomehomeabq.com. I think you have to actually use the 505 beginning October the 1st. That's 505-448-1888. Tego, Tracy, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. We're great.
Excellent. Good to be here, Eddie.
We're in the final stretch. We're about to hit the fourth quarter, right? We hold up our hands if we're playing football. We say quarter number 4, and here we are. You guys have gotten through a pretty interesting year, a lack of housing opportunity available that has driven some prices up, but also, you know, it is one of those really competitive markets, and you need the real estate expertise of Tego and Tracy Venturi because they will advise you the best way that you need to be advised. And all you have to do is visit their website at welcomehomeabq.com. Lots to get to today as Tego and Tracy take you on down episode 382.
81. I think we're in 81. Yep. Because
okay,
we missed last week. So.
All right. Well, 381, and we've got Tego and Tracy talking about this week about how's the market. What's going on in the market? What's happening there? Looking for a shift? Well, they might tell you whether or not there is one. Earnest deposits and time off market fees. I don't know what any of those are. Well, I know what the earnest deposit is, but the time off market fees, but that's interesting. Projections for mortgage rates. Are we going to get a shift in that? And the latest on homeowner equity. As always, Tracy has your homes of the week. As always, you can tell where all the open houses are for the week. Tego will tell you about that. And we have Tego and Tracy here on radio show 381. Tego, Tracy, take it away.
Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate the introduction as always. And Tracy, here we are. We're wrapping up. We're getting
end of September.
Getting close to Balloon Fiesta. You know, we came through the airport yesterday, and we as in Albuquerque are decked out, ready for Balloon Fiesta. Right here on Alameda, where our office is, you know, up by the balloon park. They've been doing a lot of work, making it look pretty.
Yep, so, redoing medians and cleaning up weeds and making sure that we present the best light for our city. And the airport was awesome. They've got projections going on walls and things, and they've got balloon baskets and all sorts of information.
Well, you know, obviously the Balloon Fiesta is such a big deal for our community, both economic as well as just the pride of it and having it. It's a great event, and
fingers crossed for great weather, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I know some years it's great and some years it's not, but there'll always be a couple of good days of flying. So anyway, looking forward to that. A lot of things going on in the housing world. Tracy, the Balloon Fiesta also bring the GAR, the Greater Albuquerque Association Grande Open House weekend. That's coming up.
Grand Open House, same week, first weekend as Balloon Fiesta.
Yep. And so there'll be a lot of open houses to go out and look. Although we're very short on the number of homes on the market, at least be able to see some of them that are out there, as well as, you know, it's funny. I think about that because what was it, a couple of years ago when we did the Grand Open House weekend? I think there was about 600 homes
open that weekend.
And as of today, as we're sitting here, there's about 1,100 homes total on the market
for sale.
So yeah, it's not going to be 600 open houses, but there'll be some out there to see.
So the Grand Open House weekend, I'm just going to call it Grand.
There you go.
Grande, just because it has an E on the end, right? The Grand Open House weekend will be the whole metro area, and all agents are welcome to participate in that. So we do expect there to be quite a few. We also have Tego, the Parade of Homes, coming up.
Exactly.
And that would be the second weekend of Balloon Fiesta, right? The 8th through the 10th?
Yeah, and let's just define the difference here. So the Open House weekend is through the Realtor Association, which is mainly resale properties. The Parade of Homes is presented by the Home Builders Association, so mainly new construction homes. Sometimes there's some remodels in there as well, but it's
by builders, yeah.
But it's more highlighting the builders and the remodelers and what's going on there.
So
they're always fun.
Yeah, lots of great weekend opportunities to view homes with the open houses as well as the Parade of Homes the weekend after. Plus, just call us and we can get you into homes. 448-8888. Like Eddie said, I think some of the carriers are requiring 505 starting in October. So welcome to that.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're probably one of the last states that have had to deal with this, but here we are, you know.
So I want to talk about a home that's coming.
Okay.
So there's a couple we have coming in various parts of town. And if you're looking for something specific, give us a ring and we can set up a search for you so you can be in the know. There's this thing in our system called Coming Soon Homes, Tego, where as an agent, we can put it out there to other agents to let them know we have something coming soon, but it doesn't go out to the public.
Yeah, it doesn't show up on all the websites that show listings. Yeah.
Right. So let us know if there's something that we can get a leading edge on for you. But we have some things coming in Las Lunas, in the West Side, in East Mountains, Northeast Albuquerque, a variety of properties. So let us know what you're looking for and we can get you inside information basically, or get you hooked up so as soon as it's available, you can see that house. In addition to the open houses, we can help you put together a route to look at homes and all sorts of things. So it'd be fun to, we used to do that way before real estate. We'd go to all the open houses and the Twilight open houses and the Parade of Homes.
Yep.
It was great. So when we built our house, we had a lot of great ideas and we'd already met many builders. So
yeah, no, it's a good way to see the latest design trends, the different materials that are being used. And yeah, you know, especially if you're thinking about building, it's a for sure, or remodeling. So I wanted to just hit on this, you know, how's the market question. My, you know, number one question people ask me is what's going on in the real estate market in the Albuquerque area, because that's what I watch. And I gotta say, it's kind of a snoozer. I mean, there's not any like big change that's happened. What I've seen now in the last really few months is that the number of homes on the market has stayed relatively steady, about, you know, as many homes coming on the market as going off the market. We haven't seen a buildup in the number of homes. Prices appear to still be getting pushed up a little bit every month. And I don't, you know, that appears that that's going to happen again in September. I took a quick read at some of the September data based on, you know, just the first 20 days that I had. And it looks like we're going to be, you know, ahead of last September on the number of homes, you know, going under contract. The number of homes on the market is lower than last year. So, you know, all the indicators are showing that we're just kind of in a steady housing market with steady price appreciation.
Right. So there's a couple of topics that we really want to cover in addition to that. So you've got some predictions on interest rates based on what you just said.
Well, yeah, one of the things, Tracy, you know, I'm always scouring the data and the different, you know, people out there like, okay, you know, where's the housing market going? You know, what are the things that we need to look at to know if there's a shift in the housing market coming? And I've put together a list of kind of these leading indicators, these things that will show us if there's a shift coming in the housing market. Things like the number of mortgage applications.
Right.
A few weeks ago, there was a little bit of a drop, even though it was still historically pretty high. But now in the last week, mortgage applications are back up, and that's nationally.
And you're looking at real-time current data. A lot of times the stories that come out are a couple months behind.
Oh, yeah. That's unfortunately, a lot of that is true. Another thing that I've been able to now track is the number of showings, foot traffic, I call it. So the number of people actually going out and looking at homes. Now I'm expecting a big drop in foot traffic next week because, you know, over the next few weeks, because of Balloon Fiesta, generally the number of people out looking at homes drops off. So we can expect that.
And in addition to Balloon Fiesta, it normally drops off during the state fair.
Right.
Be curious to know about that correlation this year.
Yeah. So for sure. So far we haven't really seen any drop off in foot traffic, but a couple of things I'm really starting to watch are price reductions and, you know, just the total number of homes on the market, as well as the average price for listed homes, not what things sold for, but what they're actually listed for. Because if I see a drop, an increase in price reduction and a drop in price per square foot or average price, that's going to be a pretty good indicator of kind of wisdom of the crowd. What are the other, the realtors that are putting homes on the market? They're putting them on the market. They're not getting their price. They're price reducing. And I'll just say, just real quick, is the price reductions really haven't gone up that much. In fact, they're still historically low. They've moved up a little bit more than there was earlier in the year, but right now, really no big change in price reductions. In fact, they're historically low. So if I see big moves there, of course, you'll hear about it here.
Right.
So those are my leading indicators that I'm watching. I just wanted to put that out there.
Great. Interest rates?
Yeah, interest rates. So there was a survey done of the experts when it comes to mortgage rate projections, Tracy. And
so for the next year, we've got it by quarter, right? What
correct.
They expect. And are you seeing some change or a small uptick, or are they going to stay the same?
Everybody is projecting a little bit of an increase. Not much, but a little bit of an increase, right?
So quarter by quarter, little,
yeah,
which would get us to...
Yeah, so if you look at right now we've been hovering in this 2.93% range for a while. It's been pretty flat. And if you look at all the experts, this is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Mortgage Bankers Association, and the National Association of Realtors, right? If you look at all of their projections, they're saying maybe 3.2, by the end of the year. Quarter one next year, they're saying 3.35. Quarter two of 2022, 3.5, and maybe 3.6 by quarter three of 2022, which is still, if you think about that, we were at 3.7 at the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic, January, February, and the market was already, the real estate market was already on fire before we came to that. So,
right.
So yeah, projections are that rates will be bumping up a little bit.
Still under 4 by the end of next year.
Yeah, that's the projection. So, we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and what we know is every little bit of interest rate increase reduces some people's purchasing power.
Absolutely. So, and of course it affects, overall affordability. We've had this huge run up in home prices. Affordability has stayed very good because of the low interest rates. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
right.
Tracy, I want to talk about time off market fees and earnest money. We had somebody here in the office and we were talking about it, and I could see they were just kind of scratching their head because we were kind of talking, you know how in our business we start talking this lingo and we start talking about stuff like, well, what's earnest money? What's time off market fee? Well, let's talk about it. Let's define them, Tracy.
Sure. So time off market fee is something that's relatively newer to our market, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of states, a time off market fee is not that uncommon, or it's very, very common. So
can I just say something about that? If you are from another market, if you've heard of it, you may hear things called option money or option fee or something like that. Basically the same thing. We just call it time off market fee here in New Mexico.
Right. And one of the things we do is that lingo thing. We sling around the lingo, which is TOM.
Yeah.
So we call it the TOM fee, which is time off market.
Right.
It's conveniently TOM, right? And
yeah.
People go TOM fee, and then, we're really confusing our clients and the public. So time off market fee versus earnest money, Tego.
Yeah.
Time off market is a payment from a buyer directly to a seller being offered on a purchase agreement to take that house off the market, to give them some time to do their due diligence, and it's non-refundable.
Correct.
And it's just literally saying, hey, I'll give you this much money direct to the seller, no strings attached, just for you to accept my offer, take your house off the market, and give me time to do my due diligence and make sure I'm comfortable with the house. And for the seller...
Well, let me just ask, is that money credited to the buyer at closing, like earnest money?
So typically the actual time off market fee itself, if you use the right forms and things, is not credited to the buyer at all.
Okay.
However, we have seen people put that in addendums or amendments or, make it so that maybe there is some sort of credit.
It could be, is your point.
Could be.
Yeah.
But the actual form itself does not, the format it's in set up to do doesn't give credit to the buyer. That's just money the buyer has given to the seller, regardless of the outcome. There's just no credit for it, but it's something to make the seller feel good about taking their house off the market.
Anybody that's done any commercial real estate is probably pretty familiar with this concept. It's usually called option money or option fee.
Right. So different from earnest money.
Yeah.
Right. So earnest money is money that's just good faith, saying, I'm interested in your house. I'll put some money at the title company. It doesn't go to the seller right at the beginning of the under contract period. It's money that they're offering and putting at the title company. And when there's a successful closing on the property, that earnest money amount is credited to the buyer's closing costs. So they essentially get it back at closing towards whatever they're putting it towards.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the big question here is, if a buyer backs out of a transaction, does the seller get the earnest money?
So our purchase agreement clarifies all of the reasons where earnest money, if the buyer defaults, it says in the contract the seller gets the money. But there's all sorts of contingencies in our purchase agreement where if the buyer isn't comfortable with inspections, if their lending isn't comfortable with the value of the property, like an appraisal, all these different things that are written into the contract as contingencies say if the buyer cancels based on these contingencies, the buyer should get their money back. However, let's talk about reality.
Yes.
The reality in New Mexico is different from other states, especially in our Albuquerque market. I can't tell you what Las Cruces is like, but our Albuquerque market, it's actually by law. The buyers and sellers both have to sign a form agreeing to how the earnest money would be distributed in case the contract falls apart. And the title company can't release that earnest money to either party unless both buyers and sellers have signed the disbursement agreement.
Correct.
So if there's any conflict or a disagreement on who should get that money, it sits at title until buyers and sellers agree. So typically out of the earnest money, when we have a contract fall apart, we want to make sure that any vendors got paid. So if there was a home inspection, a termite inspection, a sewer inspection, a radon, a whatever, that those people are getting paid by whoever was responsible to pay for them.
Sure.
But really, the earnest money distribution is, between buyer and seller, and we facilitate how that money, what typically the contract says, but it's really a negotiation. So going back to TOM fee versus earnest money, right?
Yeah.
So a TOM fee, time off market fee, is typically you give it to the seller, it's done. There's no negotiating later to say, I want that money back because I didn't like something about your house.
Correct.
Right? It's especially in this competitive market, we're seeing TOM fees because somebody wants to sweeten the pot, so to speak, and say, hey, seller, I'm willing to give you some money to take your house off the market, accept my offer, and let me do my due diligence. So let's talk about it, Tego. How much do people usually do for earnest money and time off market here?
Okay, you really going to put this on me?
I'll do it. I'll tell you.
It varies, right? And it's all, everything's negotiable, right? But, customarily, it used to be 1% of the purchase price for earnest money. We don't see that very often these days. Yep.
So like
it's
a $300,000 house, 1% would be the buyer saying, I'll put $3,000 at the title company as earnest money in good faith.
Right.
That we're going to have a good transaction. Right now, we're seeing $1,000 often, right? $500, depending on the type of loan somebody's using, like a VA loan where there's zero out of pocket for a VA borrower, right? They might do $500. They might do 1%, but with the competitive market too, we are seeing people do 1% sometimes
we're
to
seeing,
show that they want that property.
Yeah, and we're seeing people do very large earnest deposits as well, again, to show that they're serious and they're gonna move forward. And then the time off market fee, Tracy, what kind of costs do you see on that, or price that the buyer's willing to pay a seller to take it off for due diligence?
I've seen a huge range, but typically between $50 and $500.
Okay.
And I'd say typically it's $100. You know, I'll give you, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, $100 that I just give you with no strings attached for you to take your house off the market and let me do my due diligence.
So Tracy, in our purchase agreement, and we have an information sheet that spells this out. In our purchase agreement, it spells it out. So, the whole idea is these are options that are out there. And I have heard stories where somebody was never advised that these were an option for them as they were doing their purchase agreement, or if they were on the seller side, that it was an option. So just to know that it's there, and then if you do get into an agreement, you understand that they're there, and then you can dig into it more so you can wrap your brain around it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Good topic.
It is a good topic. Yeah.
So we've done a bunch of reading lately and a lot of new stats out on homeowner equity.
Yeah.
Tego, it's really exciting in a way for all our homeowners.
It really is. The homeowner equity has exploded nationwide.
Equity is the value of what you have in your house above any loan amount. So if you owe $200 on your house and it's worth $300, you have $100,000 of equity.
Perfect. Right. So that is unrealized gain is another way to put it.
Well, not necessarily unrealized gain, because if you put $100,000 down on your house, you have $100,000 in equity.
Good point.
But
that's
a lot of people
true.
today are having extra equity in their house because their value of their property has increased.
So CoreLogic, which was one of the big mortgage, real estate data set companies that track, all types of stuff related to real estate and mortgages, and so they put out a report every quarter looking at homeowner equity nationwide. And they look at all the properties in the country, and then all the properties that have a mortgage. And they say there's about 63% of all the properties in the country have a mortgage. So
63% means 37%. I'm doing the math in my head. 37% are free and clear, have
Correct.
no mortgage.
Yeah.
So that's more than every 1 in 3 houses.
Yep. And
have no mortgage. Wow.
That's true. And a couple things that jumped out at me, Tracy, was first off, they project that there was a $2.9 trillion increase in the last 4 quarters. So this is through the end of quarter 2.
Increase over previous, not just total value.
No. This is increase in the last year.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Say that number again.
2.9
trillion.
Trillion.
So that means homeowners in the United States have 2.9 trillion more equity in homes than they had a year ago.
Net worth is another way to say it too, right? That's additional net worth in Americans' pockets if they were a homeowner.
Wow.
Or
that's
if they are a homeowner.
That's a significant increase.
It's a significant increase. And of course, that's going to bring up the whole conversation. Oh, here we go. We're building up. Homes are overvalued. And I'm not going to go there right now. But so I kind of just did anyway. But one of the things they look at also is negative equity. And negative equity is basically people that are underwater, right? They owe more on the home than they can sell it for. And to put it in perspective, at the end of 2009, basically when the housing bubble really burst and we really went into the Great Recession or the financial crisis, 26% of all mortgage properties were in negative equity territory versus today it's 2.3% nationwide. And New Mexico, it's only 2%.
of negative equity.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's, we're in a very good position. Another part of that, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I'll go from memory, is I think it was 97% of all mortgages have at least 10% equity.
I think that's what I remember reading.
Yeah.
So,
so anyway, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so that gain in equity, we were talking about that 2.9 trillion. If you put them all together in the whole country, the average homeowner in the U.S. $51,000 in the last
growth
year. Yep, in increase
value.
In equity, and in New Mexico, since we're here, $37,000 in increased equity in their home. Over their mortgage.
So increased equity in their home is two factors that I can think of,
mm-hmm.
right? The home value went up,
yep.
but also they're paying down their mortgage, so that what they owe on it has gone down a little bit in the last year,
yeah.
and what it's worth has gone up.
Yep.
So their equity value has gone up by both of those things.
Yeah. It's an impressive statistic, and I know there's a lot of concern about, home prices are getting overheated. Home prices are overheated. We're pricing people out of home ownership, and it's a real concern. It really is.
It is. And home affordability is a completely different topic that we've talked about. But honestly, with the interest rates where they are, like you said, we're staying in that more affordable range because of the low interest rates to offset the higher prices.
And let me just define that so people understand. We're saying affordability. We're talking about, what their payment is versus, what their income is.
Right.
Right. And historically, it was somewhere around 30%. Right now, we're still about 20%, 21, 22%. So, because of the low interest rates, it's kept the affordability good. And I know there's a lot of concerns out there. It's like, oh no, what happens when we get to 4 or 5%, mortgage rates? Some people think we may never get there again, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting, and people are going to end up staying in their homes even longer. We went from 5 years as average people stayed in their home to 7 years. Now people are staying in their home 10 years and longer. And if we get mortgage rates that move up, let's say up to 4%, and people are locked in at 3%, we're gonna have a lot of people staying in their homes longer and longer just because they've locked in at the lower rate.
Well, and this brings up the whole other topic we're not going to get into in depth today, is people have equity in their homes. Only 2.0% in New Mexico are negative equity, which means if somebody has not been able to pay on their mortgage, they are able to sell that home because it's worth more. They can, instead of defaulting and letting it go through foreclosure or something, they can sell the home and walk away most likely with some money in their pocket.
Yeah. And, we didn't get into the whole forbearance thing. And I just will tell you, I've been watching it very closely, and there's not a whole lot of news there. It's pretty much people are dealing and either coming out of the forbearance plan or selling their home. But most people, it looks like, are just going to renegotiate with their bank and stay in their home. They've got equity, no reason to let the home go. I'll say the forbearance plan that the Trump administration put into place, it's probably one of the most successful, housing policies ever put in place. We didn't have the forbearance plan in 2008 and 2009. And so it's been an extremely successful program. And a couple more months, we'll know exactly how, what the final shakeout is on it. But so far, it's looking to be really good.
We've seen it continue to be extended. I don't know that anybody can actually apply for it any longer. Is that something that, so I think the deadline for that was maybe early this year, late last year?
Yeah, the bulk of the forbearance plans are expiring this month and into and next month. That's why I'm saying we'll kind of know, as people start expiring out of the plan, if they renegotiate with their bank or if they pay it off or they refinance or whatever, so. But it looks like most people are staying put in their home and figuring out ways to make it work.
And what we don't see is like this calamitous, like crushing effect of people who aren't going to be paying their forbearance, what we actually see is people who are paying back, and they're doing the deal, and they think it's good for them, and it's good for the people that lent the money as well, keeping the real estate market fluid. And I think that is the most important. As always, you want to get all your real estate expertise from Tego and Tracy Venturi, the Venturi Real Estate Group from Keller Williams Realty. You can pick up the phone, dial them directly, or if you're up at 2 a.m, right? You want to say,
yeah,
hey, I want to start checking on that house, see what's available, hit the market. I'm telling you, folks, like this is like minute to minute now. That's how important this is. If you are not staying on top of this information, and Tego and Tracy will get on top of it. If you leave your name with Tracy, she'll get you all the information. She emails you daily. Go to welcomehomeabq.com. Stay on top of the market. You've got to be competitive. It's nothing short of a miracle to get into the houses that you want to get into right now. And when they see that stamp of approval with Tego and Tracy as your realtor, trust me, that carries a tremendous amount of weight. They know they're number one in the market for transactions. They're number one in the market for reputation, and number one in the market for real estate expertise. So why not pick up the phone and dial them directly? October 1st, you have that number, that prefix, 505-448-8888. That's 505-448-8888.